Hello again and welcome back to the channel. This is Michael from TOEFLresources.com, and today I'm very happy to present my 2021 guide to the first TOEFL speaking question. In today's video, I'll start by talking about modern question styles, like basically what this question actually looks like. I'll continue by giving you two templates you can use to answer this question. I'll provide a few sample answers, and I'll wrap up the video by talking about how your answers are actually scored by ETS. Now, as far as question styles go, it's pretty much the same as the last couple years. I did a survey of about 500 students a month ago, and this is what they told me. 50% of them said they got an agree-disagree style question. 30% said they got preference style questions, and the last 20% said they got what we call a good idea style question. Now, in just a moment, I'll give you samples of all of these question types. This means, of course, that the following types are still dead. They're not showing up on the test. Those are the three choices style, the giving advice style, and the advantages, disadvantages style. Now, this is not set in stone. Nothing with the TOEFL is set in stone, so these could appear at any time, but they haven't really shown up for the last few years. If you do want to learn about them, just look for my speaking videos from about 2017 or 2018. First up is the agree-disagree style, the most common style. This one's pretty straightforward. You're given a single sentence and you're asked whether or not you agree or disagree with it. So in this one, it says, teachers should assign daily homework to students. Do you agree or disagree with that? The next one, children should help their parents with household chores as soon as they are old enough. Do you agree or disagree? That's all you got to do. Now, the preference style is also very common. In this one, you're asked whether or not you prefer X or Y. So for instance, do you prefer to study for tests in a group or to study alone? The next sample, it's a little bit longer, but it's the same kind of thing. Some people like to watch television news programs every day, while others like to watch them only now and then. Which do you prefer and why? And of course, in all of the styles, you're going to get something at the end like include details and examples to support your explanation. Finally, the good idea style. This is a little trickier and it's a little bit longer, but don't worry about it. You answer it in the same way. Basically, you're given a situation or an idea, and you're asked whether you think it's a good idea. So in this first sample, it says, some companies have rules that forbid employees from using personal cell phones during working hours. Do you think this is a good idea? Why or why not? And the next one is about changing your appearance using radical methods. Do you think that's a good idea or not? Support your answer with details and examples. Now, no matter what style you get, you're going to use the same structure for your answer. And on the screen now is a template or a structure that you can use. And it's pretty straightforward. You begin by stating your main point. Use about 8 seconds for that. And just use something like, I agree with the idea that, or I think it's better to, or I think it's a great idea to, and simply finish the sentence. Next, you have a transition that runs for about 2 seconds. I feel this way for several reasons. Something like that. You don't have to use this word for word, but this is a general guideline you can try. And then after that, for 35 seconds, support your point. First, and then give your first reason. Maybe use a personal example to illustrate it. And then say, secondly, and give your second reason. I've left off the personal example because you might not have time to give a personal example for both of the reasons. Now, every year I put up this video and I get questions from students. They wonder, is it okay just to use one reason? And the answer is yes, that's totally fine. I think 2 reasons is best. And I think if you want like an absolute perfect score, you might want to use 2 reasons. But for most students, As long as your delivery is good and you've got a lot of different ideas and details, one reason is fine. And the template is pretty much the same. Just start by stating your main point. I didn't change anything here. I've left out the transition just to save a bit of time. And then you just support your point with the rest of your time. This is because, and give a reason. For instance, and give a personal example. And since you've got more seconds to work with here, I've added an extra line to the template as a result, and then give a long-term effect of your reason. And I'll give you a sample of that in case you want to know what I mean. All right, let's get to samples for each of the question types. First up, an agree-disagree style. And we're given the sentence, teachers should assign daily homework to students. Do we agree or disagree? Well, here's a sample answer. I start with the main point, right? Just from the template. I agree with the idea that children should be given homework on a daily basis. I've got the transition from the template. I've got my first reason beginning with first. I've got my second reason beginning with secondly. Now, I won't read it all for you, but I do want to mention a few techniques I've used to kind of bring this to the next level. First up, I've ended this reason by mentioning a long-term effect. In the long run, this leads to a lot more academic success. Now, this is what I call making the answer persuasive. So, by adding a long-term benefit, I'm going to persuade the listener that my idea is a good one. I'm not just describing my idea. I'm not just describing what it means to do homework. I'm persuading with a long-term benefit that I've put at the end of the reason. This isn't mandatory. You don't have to do it for both of the reasons, but it is a technique that will bring your answer to the next level. I've also used the transitional phrase, for example. This is the kind of phrase that ETS really loves and the graders are absolutely looking for. For example, or for instance. And I've added another one here at the end, as a result. That's a key phrase. Things like as a result or moreover or in addition. These are absolutely phrases you need to use. This answer is 127 words. That's pretty long. That's about what I recommend if you're looking for an absolutely perfect score. So make that an ultimate target. You might not get there right away, but keep trying and get as close as you can. Okay, so a second sample answer, this time for the preference style. And this one asks, do you prefer to shop at a store that has a lot of different kinds of products or one that focuses on a single type of product? And I've got my answer here. I'm following the template. I think it is better to go to stores that focus on a single product. I've got my transition, I've got my first, and I've got my second. I've got for example as a transitional phrase. I've got to be more specific. That's another key transitional phrase. And I've got and as a result. Now, the other thing I've done here is I've used a few coordinating conjunctions like so and but. We use these to create compound sentences, and they make the grammar a little bit more sophisticated. And as far as the ETS automated scoring technology goes, I believe they also count as transitional phrases, themselves. So again, that's another technique to bring your answer to the next level. Coordinating conjunctions. This answer came out to 136 words, which again is quite long and you might not get there right away, but make that sort of a target for the long term as you continue to practice. All right, one last sample answer. This is for the good idea style, and it's about companies that don't let employees use personal cell phones. And the sample answer here has just one reason. Once again, it's using the template. I think it's a terrible idea for companies to tell workers that they can't use their phones. This is because, and I've got my reason. I'm using the transitions for instance and moreover. Oh, and also as a result. And as you can see at the end of the answer, I've got the long-term effect of the example. As a result, I am already looking for a new job, and the store will soon lose an experienced employee. This one came out to about 103 words. I think that's a bit on the short side, but I bet you can still get a score of like 25 or 26 points if your answer is 103 words. And by the way, I'm using the word counting feature in Microsoft Word. So as you're practicing, consider making transcripts of your answers and plugging them into Microsoft Word to get an idea of how many words you've put into your answer. All right, a few general tips and tricks. I know I'm repeating myself here, but these are the kind of things you're going to want to keep in mind as you're answering these questions. First up, try to avoid repeating words. Don't use the same words again and again and again throughout your answer. Again, as I said, use transitions like as a result or consequently, moreover, and therefore. Use coordinating conjunctions to link ideas. Use about 120 to 130 words for a top score. Avoid pauses and false starts and self-corrections. You want sentences that flow really smoothly. And as I said, you can use 2 reasons or 1 reason. Now, let's talk about the fun technical stuff. How are you graded? Well, first up, you're graded by one human scorer from ETS. And she's going to grade you on delivery, language use, and topic development. Now, delivery means how clearly you speak. Specifically, does the rater need to use any extra effort to understand you? If they have to really work hard to make out what you're saying, you're going to lose points. Delivery also refers to your pronunciation and your intonation, how smoothly your answer flows. Next up is language use. This is purely your grammatical correctness, the correct use of vocabulary, and the range and complexity of your vocabulary and grammar. Lastly is topic development. In the independent speaking question, this means, are you supporting your argument with appropriate examples and details? And are there connections between the reasons and the examples you've given? And apparently, these are all equal in value. Now, of course, there's going to be overlap, but apparently these all have equal value and they're all equally important. Now, as of 2019, there is also the SpeechRater technology. Now, that's an AI technology which grades your answers as well as the human. And it's basically checking 4 different areas. First up is your fluency. Once again, that's about your delivery and how clearly you speak. If you have a lot of pauses or you have a lot of unnatural pauses in the middle of your sentences, the AI is going to give you a low score for fluency. Next up is your pronunciation and your intonation. Again, that's pretty clear. Are you pronouncing your words like a native speaker? Do you have intonation which resembles a native speaker? If you do, you're going to get a high score in this area. Next up is your grammar. Basically, the SpeechRater is going to create a transcript of your answer, and it's going to check your grammar. If you've got a lot of mistakes, you're going to get a lower score. But if your grammar is really good, you'll get a high score in this part. Lastly is your vocabulary. Once again, it's going to check that transcript and look at the words you've used. If you've repeated the same words again and again, that might hurt your score. But if you're using a lot of different words, you'll get a better score. Also, it's going to check the complexity of your grammar. Whether you're using a lot of really easy short words, that might hurt you. But if you're using words that are a little bit less common or a little bit longer, you'll get a better score in the vocabulary section of the AI. Now, ETS is still a little bit secretive about how the SpeechRater works, but it is my impression that the human rater and the AI rater have equal value when your score is determined. That's about all for now, actually. If you have any questions about this video, please leave a comment down below. or you can check me out at TOEFLresources.com. At that site, you can find guides to every section of the test, and you can also sign up for my speaking and writing evaluation services. All right, I will leave it at that, but I look forward to all of your questions and comments. Take care, guys. I'll see you later.